The Philadelphia Flyers, they want to win now. But this trophy right here, it's going to take a little while before the Flyers get one of them. Caleb Weiler is here. I am Adrian Fedke. The Flyers have named a general manager. Chuck Fletcher is your new GM, obviously taking over for Ron Hextall. I'm still in mourning over this Ron Hextall news. I know that he's gone and it sucks, but I'm still in mourning.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising because normally the coach goes before the GM, and Ron Hextall is a Flyers legend. But if you thought that bringing in Ron Hextall, who beat people with sticks and fought other goaltenders, was going to be somebody who was level-headed as a GM, I guess you were probably wrong about that.
Oh, no! Oh, man. Well, let's get into this Chuck Fletcher. So he was with the Minnesota Wild for 9 seasons before this, fired last year because the Wild could never get past the second round of the playoffs. So from 2012 to 2018, Wild made the playoffs but never got past the second round. So you have that, and he's got some prior experience with the Penguins, was assistant general manager of that Stanley Cup team back in 2009. He's also with the Ducks, I believe, Panthers, and there's one more team. I forget who it was, but it's okay. Caleb, I'm sure, might fill me in. So what are your thoughts on Chuck Fletcher? Was he the best candidate?
Yeah, so I like him. He definitely has the longest resume, and we did pluck him from the Devils. He was a senior advisor over there. So that was probably the last team that he was with before coming over here. I do like Chuck.
Yeah, that was the last team I was on. Yep, you're right.
Yep. So I do like him. I think he was a good hire. I think the problem was we all forget how horrible Minnesota was before he came on, and the fact that he built a core that could get to the second round of the playoffs was really important for that team, because once you get into the playoffs, anybody can win. And the Flyers haven't been consistently in the playoffs over the last few years, and that's probably the biggest blemish for Ron Hextall is they get into the playoffs and then they lose right away, or they don't get into the playoffs. So if Chuck Fletcher can build around this existing core, he's probably got a pretty good shot to get us past the second round in the near future.
Well, that's the next question. It's like they wanted a GM that's really going to advance this team, but they just hired a GM that could never advance the Wild past the second round. Does that bother you at all?
Well, I think the main problem with the Wild was that he put his own core together there, and it consisted of players like Mikko Koivu, Jason Zucker, Matt Dumba, Jonas Brodin. He plucked Devin Dubnyk.
Hold on. They've got a dude named Matt Dumba?
Yeah, okay. So the best thing about Matt Dumba,
I love that! Matt Dumba.
His jersey number for the first few years of his career was 55. So his jersey read Matt Dumbass.
I love it.
It's awesome.
He's my favorite player in the league. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, and he's an excellent defenseman. So, he was able to definitely pick up some good players and draft pretty well there. But once that core got into the playoffs, they weren't able to do it. But coming into a team that has players existing like Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, Travis Konechny, Ivan Provorov, and Shane Gostisbehere, and Sean Couturier, he has that core already, so he just needs to pick up those extra few pieces to get us over the hump, which starts with goaltending.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If he trades for Matt Dumba, gets right back in my good graces. I'd love to have a dumbass on this team.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So these other candidates got guys like you had Mark Hunter from the Maple Leafs. You had Bill Zito from Columbus, special assistant GM Dave Nonis, special assignment scout, I should say. So those 3 guys, were they anybody there you were interested in or no?
Yeah, so the funny thing is I was on Reddit as they were going through this whole process, and Bill Zito was brought up, and somebody had commented that he would love for Bill Zito to be hired because it sounds like somebody you'd run into down on South Street, like, hey, Billy Zito.
Yeah, that's a former pitcher of the Oakland Athletics, Bill Zito.
There you go.
Oh, never mind. Barry Zito. Never mind.
Close enough.
False information. Sorry.
L's, R's, it's like the same thing.
Yeah, Barry, Billy, whatever.
So he's been an AGM for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have had a pretty good team, but they've been running into the same problem where they get into the playoffs and they lose right away as well. And you're never going to be able to find a GM that's getting his team consistently into the conference finals or the Stanley Cup finals, because they're not going to fire them if they're getting that far into the playoffs. So you kind of have to take what you can get. And the fact that Chuck Fletcher was able to build a team into somebody that could get into the playoffs 6 years in a row, I'm willing to give him a shot to see what he can do here.
He looks too much like Dave Haxtell.
He does now. See, now we have Haxtell, Knobloch, and Fletcher, who all have the same haircut. It's just weird.
Yeah, there's too much gray. Too much. they need to go just for men. They need to go get that thing black. Put some color in it. All right. So one of the other things from the press conference yesterday, one of the things that was brought up was Carter Hart. And obviously, you know, that was like one of the rumors that was going around about Ron Hextall. Was like, oh, man, but one of the reasons why he might have been fired was because he didn't want to bring Carter Hart up. Well, Fletcher doesn't want to bring him up either. So he says, I don't think it can ever be a one-size-fits-all. I can't remember many 20-year-old goalies who played in the NHL. I really believe goaltenders need seasoning. I wouldn't want to bring Carter Hart up right now. Thoughts on those quotes?
Yeah, so I think that's absolutely correct. He has been getting significantly better as time has gone on in his time in the AHL. He's getting a majority of the starts. I believe he has 8 wins, 4 or 5 losses, and 2 ties, something around there. I'm not completely versed on his stats, but his overall numbers haven't been great, but he's been consistently getting better as he's learning the league.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him at least get the full year unless something catastrophic happens with all of our goalies, which has been happening. If Anthony Stolarz goes out, Carter Hart's the next guy up, I think. I mean, they have Alex Lyon, but we saw that didn't work out. And I think Chuck Fletcher's best move in regards to the Flyers was that he picked Devin Dubnyk up for a 3rd-round pick, and he turned into a great starter out of, you know, he's top 5 and even strength save percentage over the last few years. So if he can bring in somebody like that for the Flyers to hold over until Carter Hart plays, I think he definitely has the right mindset there.
Okay. All right. Another thing that, you know, kind of a little bit talked about with the presser, analytics. I don't know what your thoughts are on analytics when it comes to hockey, but here's what some Fletcher had to say. I felt we built a pretty good analytics department in Minnesota that we were using more and more. When I talk about process, it was part of the process. Trust the process.
He knows how to get to those Philly guys. All about the process here in Philly.
but yeah, you know about those analytics. God, what was that one cool number you were using? Like, what?
Oh, like Corsi.
Corsi 4. Yeah, Corsi 4 numbers. You're all about the Corsi 4.
I love Corsi 4. I think that it's important to have a good eye on analytics because it kind of shows you if guys are succeeding, even if it doesn't show on paper. But at the same time, the eye test is also important. They interviewed the new assistant coach who's going to come in and look at the defense, and he was talking a little bit about analytics too, and he cracked a joke. He said, you know, all the coaches in there are a lot younger than I am, and analytics for me are right here. So, you know, it's good to have those two types of belief systems where you have heavy analytics and the eye test as well, because it will make a nice blend. So to have the analytics there is very important, but you also have to see that if Andrew McDonald is making one horrible play, but the rest of the night his Corsi is great, then, you know, you can't just totally rely on that.
Yeah. The Corsi 4s, baby. All right. So some like trade information here. I'll just kind of read off some quotes. 2 quotes here. I don't know if I'll make a trade today or tomorrow. I can't imagine I'll make one in the next couple of days. First order of business is to look for in-house solutions. You have to give people a chance, players, staff, everybody. But if things aren't working and we're not gaining traction, then I think you have to look at every angle. And then in terms of like trading top prospects, that was brought up, and here's what he had to say about that. There are not many deals where you're putting your best prospects in the deal. Those are big deals and getting top talent back. If people want to throw those deals at me, great, but we're not looking to trade our top kids. But I'm looking forward to the conversation. So that's got to be a little bit encouraging because isn't that what the Flyers are always known for, trying to add that big name, whether it's through trade or through free agency? And they always try to win now, and they always kind of get stuck and they just screw themselves over. I like hearing that from Chuck Fletcher. Keep the kids. Keep them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely agree with that. And the problem we're going to eventually run into is we have so many great prospects and good prospects that they're not all going to have a roster spot because these spots are already taken by young guys. You have Shane Gostisbehere and Ivan Provorov, who are 25 and 21 or 22, respectively. You have Nolan Patrick and Travis Konechny, who are both 20, 21. So there's only going to be so many spots. And you can always refill after the fact. But I don't see him trading players like Morgan Frost. Obviously not Carter Hart. They would never trade him. Joel Farabee, who's a great pickup from the draft last year. So we have a lot of great prospects in there, but we also have a lot of B prospects, players I would consider to be like German Rubstov and a couple other guys like that. So if a deal comes along where you can get somebody who's between 26 and 28 and who's on a good deal for the long term, you need to bring them in if they're going to help the team. But you don't really want to go after those guys who are 33, 34, 35 and are only going to help the team for the short term.
Yeah. Let's talk about this win over the Penguins over the weekend. They won a game, and they beat the Penguins again.
Yeah, that was a great game. They won 4-2. It was a complete 60 minutes of hockey, which is something we don't see from the Flyers a lot. And it's really interesting because everybody really wanted Hackstall to be fired, but it seems like after everything that's come out that the tight iron grip that Hextall had on Hackstall, maybe he is actually a great coach and we weren't really able to see it. So I'm kind of excited to see what the post-Hexy Flyers are going to look like if we get more games like we did against the Penguins, especially tonight against the Blue Jackets. It's going to be really exciting.
When you say iron grip, what do you mean?
Well, it just seems like he didn't really allow him to do what he wanted with personnel decisions, with coaching decisions. And you can kind of see that where they got rid of the assistant GM and Chris Pryor, and they got rid of Gordon Murphy, who was the defensive coach. And it sounded like those guys were kind of feeding information to Hextall, and that was their main duty as opposed to coaching or scouting or anything else that they were supposed to be doing. So having Dave Hextall kind of take the reins for a little bit, it seems like Chuck Fletcher said that he's his guy, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right, so Ron Hextall might find himself on the naughty list this year.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, all right. You got any final thoughts? That's about it. Final thoughts on this hire here.
Yeah, final thoughts is I think all things considered that this is a good hire. He found a goalie for a third-round pick that has bloomed into a fantastic starter for the Wild, and he's not afraid to make moves. A lot of his deadline deals didn't work out, but worst case scenario is that they don't work out, and best case scenario is that they do and you end up with a Stanley Cup. So if the Flyers can play back their way into contention in this tight metropolitan division, I would definitely see him making some trades. I would almost guarantee that Wayne Simmons is probably gone before the end of the year, though.
Wayne Simmons for Matt Dumba. Do it.
I would do it. I don't think that the Wild would do it.
So, yeah. Well, we'll see if they're dumbasses or not. We'll see.
That'd be great.
Yeah, bring in Matt Dumba. All right, that's it. You got anything else you want to say? I just heard you try to say something there.
No, I was laughing.
Oh, okay, I'm laughing too. I want Dumba. Dumba's number one on the priority list.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's Caleb Weiler. I'm Adrian Fedke. Hopefully you enjoyed the hockey talk, and we'll talk to you guys later. So take care. Flyers have a GM. I still miss Hextall, though. Miss him.